Malware analysis answers a defensive question. What does this unknown binary do? How does it do it? And what should defenders change? Draw the workflow from left to right. Acquire the sample through an authorized process. Preserve its original bytes and hash. Perform static triage without running it. Move controlled copies into an isolated lab. Observe processes, files, configuration changes, memory, and network behavior. Use reverse engineering to explain important branches and payloads. Then report facts, confidence, indicators, detections, containment actions, and remediation. The sample is hostile evidence, not an ordinary file. Never double-click it on a daily workstation, upload it to an unapproved public service, or analyze it on a network that can reach production. This tutorial stays defensive. It explains the analytical method, safe architecture, decision points, and common pitfalls. It does not teach malware creation, evasion, or deployment. Use only samples you are legally authorized to possess and analyze. At intake, establish provenance. Record where the sample came from, when it was acquired, who handled it, the business or incident context, and the authority to analyze it. Give the case and sample unique identifiers. Calculate strong cryptographic hashes such as SHA-256 on the original. Store the original in a restricted evidence location and create a verified working copy. Hash again after every transfer. A matching hash does not prove a file is safe, it proves the bytes did not change. Preserve related artifacts when available: the email, archive, download metadata, endpoint alert, command line, parent process, network record, and affected host timeline. A binary without context can hide its delivery and execution path. Apply chain of custody when legal or disciplinary use is possible. Record who possessed an artifact, when, why, where it was stored, and what transformation occurred. Decision point: if authority, provenance, or containment is uncertain, stop. Escalate before opening, decrypting, or transferring the sample. Whiteboard the lab as nested containment. A dedicated analysis host runs a patched hypervisor. Inside it, a disposable guest has no shared clipboard, shared folders, drag and drop, host integration, personal accounts, or mounted cloud storage. Use non-persistent or revertible disks and known clean snapshots. Place the guest on a host-only or tightly controlled analysis network. Simulate DNS and common services locally when behavior depends on connectivity. Capture traffic at the boundary. Never bridge the sample to a home, workplace, or production network. Keep tools, notes, and evidence in separate zones. Transfer samples through a deliberate staging process, not convenience features. Protect the management plane with least privilege, strong authentication, patching, and logs. Assume the sample may detect virtualization or attempt escape. Virtualization reduces risk, it does not erase it. Highly capable, destructive, or kernel-level samples may require specialized physical isolation and experienced oversight. Before execution, verify the snapshot, network route, packet capture, monitoring tools, time synchronization, storage capacity, and emergency shutdown plan. Static analysis begins with identity. Determine the RAIL file format from its structure, not its extension. Record architecture, compilation clues, size, signatures, hashes, and container relationships. For a portable executable, inspect headers, section names, permissions, sizes, entry point, imports, exports, resources, and debug information. Unusual section entropy, executable writable memory, a tiny import table, or a suspicious entry point may suggest packing, but no single clue proves maliciousness. Extract ASCII and Unicode strings, then classify them. File paths, registry locations, service names, mutexes, commands, URLs, domains, user agent fragments, error messages, and embedded configuration. Strings can be encoded, encrypted, and used or planted to mislead. Imports suggest capabilities. Process, networking, persistence, cryptography, or memory management APIs guide the next questions, but dynamic resolution can hide them. Use a decision gate. If the file is clearly unsupported, corrupted, encrypted, or a different format, choose the correct parser or preserve it for specialist handling. Do not force a tool to interpret bytes it does not understand. Dynamic analysis observes the sample under controlled conditions. First, collect a baseline: running processes, services, scheduled tasks, files, configuration stores, listening ports, and network state. Start process, file, registry or configuration, memory, and network monitoring before execution. Launch only the verified working copy. Record the exact time, command line, user, privileges, and environment. Watch process ancestry, child processes, injected or remote threads, dropped files, renamed copies, services, scheduled tasks, startup locations, privilege changes, security tool tampering, memory protections, DNS queries, connections, and protocol content. Compare the post-execution state with the baseline. A visible window may be irrelevant while a background child performs the real work. A sample that appears inactive may require an argument, document host, delay, locale, or unavailable service. Never satisfy that requirement by connecting it to the open internet. Simulate dependencies locally when authorized. After the run, export evidence, hash important artifacts, shut down the guest, and revert to a known clean snapshot. Now build a behavior graph. Start with the initial process and draw every child, injected target, dropped component, and network destination. Attach file, configuration, memory, and authentication events to the responsible process. Separate stages. Delivery gets the artifact onto a system. A launcher or loader establishes execution. An unpacker reveals protected code. The payload performs capabilities. Persistence survives reboot or login. Command and control exchanges tasking or results. The final objective may be credential theft, surveillance, lateral movement, encryption, destruction, or another impact. Do not label capability as observed behavior. A binary may contain code for screenshots without executing it in the captured run. Report can only when analysis supports capability and did only when evidence shows execution. Map behaviors to a framework such as MITRE ATT and CK for communication and coverage, but keep the raw evidence. A technique label is a summary, not proof. The strongest finding connects a specific process, time, artifact, action, and consequence with reproducible evidence. Reverse engineering explains the important mechanisms behind observed behavior. A disassembler translates machine code into instructions. A decompiler reconstructs higher-level pseudocode, but names, types, and control structures are estimates. A debugger pauses execution so you can inspect registers, memory, call stacks, and branches. Begin from anchors, the entry point, imported functions, cross-references to useful strings, observed file names, network configuration, or functions reached during dynamic tracing. Rename functions and variables based on evidence, not intuition. Add comments that distinguish observation from hypothesis. Packed samples create a decision branch. Static entropy and minimal imports may suggest packing. Dynamic behavior may reveal code written into executable memory before control transfers. In an isolated lab, analysts can capture the unpacked memory image and reconstruct enough structure for further analysis. Do not treat unpacking as the goal. Stop when you can explain the relevant capability, derive reliable detections, and support response. Deep analysis consumes time. Prioritize the questions that change containment, scoping, or remediation. The analysis output must improve defense. Begin with scoping indicators, strong hashes, signer information, paths, services, tasks, mutexes, configuration keys, domains, addresses, certificate details, and distinctive protocol or command patterns. Indicators are context, not universal truth. Shared infrastructure, legitimate tools, and reused code can create false positives. Hashes change easily. Pair indicators with behavioral detections such as unusual process ancestry, execution from user-writable locations, new persistence, suspicious memory protection changes, or a process making an unexpected connection. Map each detection to required telemetry, investigation steps, expected false positives, owner, severity, and validation method. Test it using authorized benign simulations or safely replayed telemetry, not live malware in production. Remediation should address the entry path and trust boundaries, not only delete the file. Revoke compromised credentials, remove persistence, rebuild affected systems from trusted media, patch exploited weaknesses, block confirmed infrastructure proportionally, improve email or web controls, and search the environment for related behavior. Preserve evidence before destructive action and coordinate legal, privacy, leadership, and communication obligations through the incident process. Finish with the checklist. 1. Confirm legal authority, scope, and handling rules. 2. Preserve the original sample, provenance, hashes, and related incident context. 3. Use a dedicated, patched, isolated lab with no production trust paths or convenience sharing. 4. Baseline before execution and monitor process, file, configuration, memory, and network behavior. 5. Preserve raw evidence and record timestamps, commands, tools, versions, and transformations so another analyst can reproduce the work. 6. Distinguish observed behavior, inferred capability, and unresolved hypothesis. 7. Use static and dynamic evidence together. Never declare a verdict from one string, import, entropy score, or scanner result. 8. Prioritize reverse engineering that changes containment, scoping, detection, or remediation. 9. Convert findings into layered detections with owners, telemetry requirements, false positive guidance, and validation. 10. Contain with authority. Preserve evidence, eradicate persistence and root cause, recover from trusted media, rotate compromised secrets, and monitor for recurrence. Common pitfalls are executing on a daily workstation, using the open internet, trusting one tool, losing chain of custody, overclaiming capability, and publishing sensitive samples or indicators without approval. This is original CipherVibe educational content for authorized defensive analysis. Copyright 2026 CipherVibe. All rights reserved.